After having finished my last building on the realm as of now, Shisrai meant that I had way too much free times on my hand currently. Later he made fun of me because I like yapping about Minecraft, and I thought, that is kind of true. Let's waste even more time on the realm and yap about it for like over an hour or however the length of that video will be at the end. So I decided to make the first ranking video I've ever made, and by the way also the first scripted video. I've almost written 25 pages of text, speaking of yapping. Today I rank all the structures in Bruhville. This essentially includes all buildings but statues and decorations as well. The only thing I won't include in this list are map arts or pixel arts. I also won't include random block formations either that serve no purpose at all. So sorry random cave with a water source, you won't make it. If I don't know a name of any structure, I'll just make something up. It should be clear what I'm talking about when showing it anyways. If structures have surrounding things such as trees that clearly belong to the structure, I'll consider them to be part of the structure to prevent this video from getting even longer. This list will be quite subjective, as of all rankings are, especially given that a lot of the structures on the realm were built by me. I still try to handle that ranking as fair as possible, and I hope to not be too biased. If you disagree, feel free to share your opinions in the comments below, and please don't take it personally if one of your structures is ranked rather low. I think usually there is a reason why I like one structure more than the other, and I'll try to explain it when I come to them. So, let's get started. A quick disclaimer from the editing process. Unfortunately, until like place 90 the bitrate was way too low in the video, so the footage may be a bit blurry if I fly around way too quickly. I hope it's watchable, but yeah, afterwards it should be way better, so sorry for that. Now let's get on with the video. Number 170, Foundation in Junkfood Street. Against all expectations, this was an easy pick for me. This thing has always been bothering me. It has existed for a very long time already at the end of Junkfood Street. The main issue I have with it compared to other nothing structures that are on that list is that it is in the main city of Bruhville, viewable on the map. It's just some weirdly egg-shaped array of cleanstone slabs with these awful corners sticking out at each side. I absolutely despise it. Like, how did it even get here? Was there really someone who got lazy after building that? I have so many questions and seriously consider finishing that structure one day, so I don't ever have to look at this stupidly shaped foundation ever again. Number 169, Sniffer Egg Enclosure. This probably was put there as a joke. Someone has put a sniffer egg into that enclosure for some reason. Given the dirt still hasn't grown to grass yet, this place has never been visited since. Although there is water inside which makes the build at least look a bit more visually appealing, it serves absolutely no purpose at all. But it's a bit distanced from everything else, so that's nice. Number 168, White Cage Ice. Ignoring all of Kawa's pets, can you really blame me for that pick? It's just a square made out of oak fence, and maybe you could count the barrel as part of the structure as well. What makes it better than the last pick is that it actually serves a purpose in containing Kawa's pets. Number 167, Glass Pond. This structure basically acts as a testing area for Kawa to spawn some types of tropical fish or whatever. It at least looks a bit more interesting than a fenced square, and it serves a purpose as well for Kawa, but that's about it. Number 166. Pipe. Another thing I ask myself on why it even exists. As of now it has gotten a bit iconic and I'm not too bothered by it. But judging by appearance, it really isn't something special, and given it serves absolutely no purpose, it receives this spot. Number 165. Sky plate. It's just some white plate very high up in the sky. Its purpose is to give the strider shelter if someone turns the weather to rain. I have fond memories of the plate because I put a lot of chickens up there and literally no one noticed until I told them about it. But yeah, it's just a square and therefore doesn't deserve that much of a higher spot despite that. Number 164. Sky Store. This is another nothing structure. I don't mind it, I actually saved it from destruction once, but it doesn't have a lot to offer really. Objectively speaking, especially the floating chests and the oak fences don't look that appealing in my opinion. And the sign is just a reference to the Breaking Bad show, I guess. I don't know. Number 163. Enchanting structure. This enchanting setup serves zero purpose and I have no idea why it's here. At least the builder has considered putting an anvil in the grindstone there, so that's great I guess. The build looks quite awful from the back and next to zero effort went into it, but it's fine from the front I guess. Number 162. Sky Arch. I don't think that the arch looks that good, especially the shape bothers me quite a bit. And it's not that visually appealing either in my opinion, it's only made out of one block. For its purpose it kind of serves as an entry to Sky Island and it's doing its job fine, but there's way better stuff out there. Number 161. Tower Shulkers. Though they are useful and somewhat appealing to look at by their color transition, at the end they are just stripes in the landscape. I can't rank them any higher because of that. Number 160. LM's Mausoleum. I've never liked this thing. It has been a rather recent addition to the realm, but it just doesn't look good in my opinion. The entrances are asymmetrical and the orange dot in the middle is unfitting as well in my opinion, and I have no idea what it is about. Maybe LM wanted to build an obstacle course which got rejected by the others. I have no idea. Number 159. Giant castle walls. Behind that awful map art of Levi there lies a secret. A base foundation with two walls. The walls honestly are designed quite well with some block variety. Given it's copied from a tutorial, that's not that much of a surprise really. There's not much more to say about this structure, for now at least. Number 158. Man Who Disobeyed. For some reason, I like this stand where a villager is hung head down over a grindstone in lava, but realistically speaking, it's just a structure made out of a couple of fences and barrier blocks. It's iconic, sure, but the other structures just have a lot to offer objectively speaking, I guess. Number 157. Hell. Same with that thing, it's essentially just a cube with a leather landscape in it. There is a stream of lava and a few fires. There's also a mangrove door that leads to some kind of shelter, but you definitely don't have any fun time down there. There's nothing wrong with it, but I can't hold up to some other things sadly. Number 156. Skeleton structure. This skull has the issue that it's made out of 4 blocks. and it looks rather flat from all the angles. The horns being 2 blocks wide and not really connected isn't a good choice either in my opinion. And given it's in caves and mines, it doesn't really serve a purpose, it's just there. What I appreciate about it is that the direction of the bone blocks was well considered, and the bone blocks weren't just spammed on top of each other. But yeah, it doesn't look that good, to be honest. Number 155. Netherite drill. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I have no idea what this is supposed to be really. I guess these 4 structures were built by Levi and all resemble some industrial structures. The main issue with that other than not really being recognizable is that it looks very messy with these skull blocks all over the place in contrasting colors. Number 154. Map display. It's kind of sad to rank it that low given how important this structure is for me, but essentially the structure itself is just a fancy square frame with barrier blocks in the middle you can view through. Number 153. Nether Fortress. If you are on the fortress, it looks neat. It's nicely decorated with torches, bands and leads you away to the end portal. My main issue I have with it is when I view it from the side. There are 4 1-block fixed pillars holding the whole structure up, which would never work, and the part with the end portal has no support structure at all. So despite the decorated portal and all, I can't give this a higher place in the ranking. Number 152. Small bunker. There's not much in here. There are 2 bookshelves with books asking why I'm reading these books. There's 1 dirt block which is annoying, but I still think that the idea of a completely hidden bunker set up for explorers is a neat idea. Number 151. Mineshaft. It's your average mineshaft maze with straight stone walls. At some areas you can find some ore blocks, and I think the use of lanterns is decent as well here. It's just a bit plain and boring compared to other things. Honorable mentions go to Stell, who has an item frame dedicated to it in that area. Number 150. Junk Food Street Pink House. And here we have my initial pick for the worst structure on the realm. It got saved by quite a few things that are worse. I especially hate that the log blocks obviously were spammed and face in different random directions. Then the build from top is very asymmetrical. There's a random gap in the roof at one side and one corner misses 1 block while the others don't. But the worst part is easily the back. The builder didn't even bother to put a window there, and there's a weird random block as well. What saved this house from the lower places is that it looks decent from the front and works as a house, and therefore serves a purpose as one of the main structures. Also, it doesn't have any interior. Number 149. Goomba. We've reached the first structure built by me. And it's alright, I guess. It served great in the prank war, and I searched up a voxel 3D model of a Goomba, found this rather flat one and pulled it out of mushroom blocks. I especially think that it being that flat kinda bothers me. It just doesn't look right in a way, in my opinion. Number 148. Ye Ole Koki Shoppy. This drugstore has gotten iconic over the years and I honestly quite like it, but I can't objectively rank it higher. First, the wood on the roof faces in different directions and the door isn't in the middle. It's essentially just a cuboid. Though there is an interior and a checkout for the drugs there. For whatever reason there is a water pond. I really have grown to like this build by the years, but unfortunately I can't rank any higher than that. Number 147. Giant Unfinished Castle. Remember the walls from earlier? They were copied and pasted here, and some walls even have been extended upon. As of now, Kawa hadn't had time to finish the tutorial, and therefore it isn't finished yet. But there already are some details implemented. Extra points for that Kawa flag designed by me. I'm looking forward to see the end result eventually. Number 146. Christmas Tree. I never liked that Christmas tree. I get that building custom trees is hard, but the tree just looks oddly squished from one side. The glowstone and the frog lights don't really work as baubles either in my opinion. Number 145. Small capsule. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. It looks fine for the most part, but essentially there are just 4 glorified walls without any roof. The thing that bothers me the most are these Prismarine 1 block extensions. The custom banner and the toggleable lights are neat, but that's about it. Number 144. Village Fountain. The builder really tried there. Not only are there all sorts of flowers around it and sea pixels inside, but there's even mossy stone bricks incorporated as a detail, but water covers every side and therefore makes it appear bland. It works for what it is, but I'd consider it the weakest one of the 4 fountains. Number 143. Abandoned Pool House. I found the structure once when I was randomly flying around in Bruhville. You can't see any other structure from its location, making it the most outcasted structure of the realm I'm aware of, at least. Granted it's unfinished, it really had a lot of potential. What is there is good for most parts. I especially like the interesting shape and the cobblestone moss entrance, and the rooms that were built have a decent interior as well. I don't like the pool, and the side of the house turned towards it looks quite flat, and given it's unfinished I can't rank it any higher. Number 142. Playground. This is at the front of the McDonald's factory. It only contains full blocks if you ignore the swing, and they look very vibrant and unnatural. But for what it is, it works well. It doesn't bother me at all at the location it stands at. Number 141. Big Capsule. Another structure I have absolutely no idea what it's supposed to be. Maybe it's meant to store something. But I appreciate the effort that went into the build. There are custom banners and even invisible armor stands with withered skeleton skulls inside. Then on the inside the toggleable lights can be found. So overall a solid structure which lacks purpose in my eyes. Number 140. Piano. On the right side of the pixel art wall you can find this piano. It looks fine for the most part. Maybe it's a bit bland, but this pillar not lining up with the one behind bothers me. There are no blocks with different pitches installed, but given there's only a limited amount of pitches in Minecraft, the piano simply was too big, so the pitches just end at one point. Number 139. Ike's Parrot's House. This was actually built by me. It's very small and is supposed to make the area appear a bit more interesting, which it achieves in my opinion. Unfortunately, due to how trapdoors work, I can't fully close it with the tree being in the way, and the structure on its own isn't anything special either. Number 138, Dow's house. Now wasn't content at all with that house, so she deleted it. But given she hasn't built anything at the space for months now, I've rebuilt it until she decides to build something else at its place. The house looks quite bland from the outside and has no real interior. I think the best thing about it is the entrance, and it having been gone definitely has taught me that it being there is better than it being gone. Number 137, Slime. I initially wanted to rank this way lower, but it works as for what it is. It's very random, sure, but it contains Northball and somehow contributes to the area in its own unique way. I guess the snow sphere next to it makes it look more integrated as well. Number 136, Bouncy Castle. Underneath the carpet there are some slime blocks which make you bounce if you jump. Like the playground, this structure essentially suffers from the use of only full blocks, but at least the shape is interesting enough to save it from the lower ranks. I used to despise this structure given that it's near of some of my main builds, but nowadays I think it's alright. Number 135, Red Boathouse. The Red Boathouse is at the other side of the ice street and contains some boats to be able to get from A to B very rapidly. For some reason there are barrier blocks on the floor so you can look at the void, but the structure itself, while proving its purpose, isn't that outstanding. I like the roof shape, but that's about it. Number 134, Blue Boathouse. It's essentially the same thing, but in blue this time. I see it way more often given it's in the main area of Bruhville. Also, I just like warp wood more than crimson wood, I guess. Number 133, Yellow Roller Coaster. I never liked this roller coaster really. The yellow-purple contrast is a very bad decision in my opinion, and the grey pillars with iron bars in between don't look that astonishing either. I like the small loop, although this area there aren't any support pillars. It doesn't straight up ruin the landscape or anything, but it isn't visually appealing. Number 132, Dolphin Enclosure. This structure is made out of blackstone, and while it looks quite great from the inside, there isn't that much to it in general. It provides the essentials to let the dolphin survive. Because of that, it's filled with soul sand to provide the dolphin with air. Simply yet effective for what it is. Number 131, LM Zeppelin. Yet another structure that suffers from only containing full blocks, and other than not being too much on it and also lacking an interior, the shape bothers me as well. It looks like a twisted square from the front rather than a circle. It looks alright from a distance and the back fins save it from a few spots, and you can recognize it as a Zeppelin. Number 130, Heaven. When it just comes to the structure itself, there is not too much to it. Essentially it's just a twisted staircase which leads to 8 roundish plates in the sky. Many mobs can live a second life up here and will always be remembered, but personally I imagined heaven to be more beautiful than that. Number 129, Chicken Coop. This is the home of Renate and Tamara, and it stands in a garden of the Yellow family house. Like Ike's parrot's house, it just can't be great because of its size. Though this time the structure has trapdoors everywhere where they belong, and there's nothing wrong with it. Number 128, LM Sniffer Enclosure. Given it's separated by a wall from the rest of LM's house, I ranked it as its own thing, and there are a few things I like and dislike. The square sand pool with the corals doesn't look that great in my opinion, and the mangrove trees are cut to the same width everywhere, and still somehow the vines have grown over the border. But I like the beehive, and the plants definitely make this area look a bit more interesting. Number 127, Nether Enclosure. It's just nothing special, 2 streams of lava, some trees and plants. Fire is a nice touch, but in general it's flat and has no substance. It receives minus points for the one missing lava source. Number 126, Snow Sphere. It's a squished sphere, but it isn't that obvious if you aren't aware of it. It's basically just a glass ball with snow at the bottom. Some of the snow floats in the air like snowflakes do. It's quite interesting to look at, and it's a nice, if a bit weird addition to that area. Number 125, Village Pond. It's a pond with fish, coral and grass, as well as the occasional lily pad. What I like about this pond is that it isn't a square. That one block shift in the middle of one side makes it appear so much more interesting. The bamboo and the flowering azalea look neat as well. It just isn't that special at the end. Number 124, Panda Enclosure. It's a flat area with flowers and plants for the most part. There is a lot of bamboo here as well. The elevation with the small river at the corner makes it a bit more visually appealing, but overall there isn't that much here. Number 123, Cave Mushroom House. The cave's mushroom house is well hidden in the cave area. From the outside it looks like a diagonal building, but it isn't really the case. The interior is quite well made with appealing furniture that gives the impression of someone really living down there. At the same time, it's a cozy place, but sometimes something about it is slightly creepy as well in my opinion. Number 122, Village Panda Zone. Another rather flat enclosure with bamboo and bushes. The moss carpet definitely is nice here, and the highlight of the structure probably is that wood shelter structure with a bunch of fence posts. Number 121, Lush Cave. This part of Caves and Mines has initially been unfinished, and I've completed it by continuing the style, and while it looks cozy, there's a bit too much green in my opinion. In the real generation of Minecraft there's always patches of clay or stone every now and then, and this is missing here entirely. Except in this part where the water and lava in front of the mushroom house. I wonder what happened here, and it looks interesting, but I can't rank it too high for it. Number 120, Ticket Booth. While this is a house that technically has an interior, it's as bland and boring as the exterior. There's not much to say about it. There's a checkout, empty bookshelves and candles in it. And from the outside I guess I can give it bonus points for the stone slab frame on top of the roof, with which give it more depth. But I don't like the archway touching the house. The archway, which I count as part of the same structure, doesn't have a perfectly flowing curve if you ask me. Overall, not bad, not good either. Number 119, Flower Stand. For what it is, it does its job excellent. It just should display some flowers in the village, likely acting as a place selling them. It looks neat from all angles and is remarkable given the foliage around it. I personally have mixed feelings about the shroom lights used there. Though they make the structure feel more interesting, they feel slightly out of place. But overall, for what it is, it's very solid. Number 118, Llama Enclosure. Yet another animal cage. It contains some trees and flowers. The water and the elevation makes it appear interesting as well. But I really wonder why there was wooden frog lights placed there. In my opinion, they make the structure way worse and they feel really out of place. If they just wanted to have a light source there, must carpets exist? Number 117, Town Hall. I don't know, I just visually don't like the structure that much. It has something going on, like the pillars, I especially like the floor pattern, and it serves a great purpose as one of the governmental structures, but it's just a glorified cubiate at the end, and therefore I can't rank it much higher. Number 116, Donkey Enclosure. This is essentially the same as the llama enclosure with different trees, and the verdant frog lights are spread out a bit more randomly, and most of them just happen to be hidden from the viewpoint perspective. And additionally, I like the andesite wall slightly better. Number 115, Caves and Mines Entrance. It has a lot going on. The cracks in the wall with the oars behind provide an adventure vibe, and there are a lot of quirky little spots and secrets that can be found there. From the outside, I've built a stone circle in a similar style to build once to mark the entrance, which looks alright, I guess. Number 114, Mini Family Guy House. Back when I made Tiny Bruhville, which was later rejected and deleted, Kawa first approved the idea and built a miniature version of the Family Guys for me to include there. The house essentially does its job well, and I can't see anything wrong with it. Maybe it doesn't resemble the house that accurately, as the garage is missing, but as a mini structure on its own, it's not bad. Number 113, Souvenir Shop. This is almost the exact same building as Ticket Booth, but instead of the orange candles, there are moving mob heads, which make the building seem way more alive, and as a bonus the bookshelves are filled this time. Number 112, Tiny Village Fountain. This fountain is just perfect, it is an excellent addition to the area and such a nice detail. It just can't stand up against the following thing on its own in my opinion, despite there nothing being wrong with it. Number 111, the Bruhville Library. I have issues with this structure if I look at it from some angles. The cobblestone and stone bricks don't make for a contrast that is big enough in my opinion, and it looks messy. The creation of depth with the stairs doesn't add too much there either, and the interior just contains some basic rows of bookshelves. Number 110, Ocelot Enclosure. It's essentially the same as the donkey and the llama enclosures, but this time the verdant frog lights have been switched out with lanterns, which fit in so much nicer in my opinion. Else there's not much to say here really. Number 109, Ike's Cat House. This is great for what it is and fits perfectly into the area next to Ike's house. It even has some sort of basic interior with the carpets and the scratching tree. I wonder why he has chosen birch buttons, maybe for the contrast, but they don't really do much. For a structure of that size, it's very neat. Number 108, Abandoned Castle. This castle, almost entirely made of cobblestone, is the first built with redstone on this list. It has a working piston door, but outside of that it completely lacks interior. I like the battlements and the 4 towers give the structure a bit more depth as well. Like a lot of the recent structures on the list, it's just alright. Number 107, Polar Bear Enclosure. Not much to say here, there's snow everywhere and here and there are huge ice pillars. The snow layers make the surface appear more elevated, but all in all, it's just another animal cage. Number 106, Erk's Fountain. You probably know by now that I'm not the biggest supporter of cobblestone in builds, but here it works alright. Although it doesn't contain that many full blocks, it still gives me a similar impression for some reason. It works and it's fine, I just think the remaining fountains are better. Number 105, Sword Podium. This likely is a reference to either The Legend of Zelda or that fairy tale with the one man that was able to pull the sword out of the stone. And the iron bar with the end rod definitely is recognizable as that. The podium itself has quite a great block variety and some bushes to make it visually appealing. The only thing keeping it in the middle is that bigger structures just have way more to offer in my opinion. Number 104, Camel Enclosure. Another zoo cage, but this time filled with sand and dead bushes, as well as acacia trees. The frog lights are back, this time in ochre color, but they don't bother me as much here for some reason. Perhaps they blend in a bit more with the sand here. And the theme just makes it stand out a bit more from the other enclosures. Number 103, Roller Coaster Entrance Building. It fulfills the job perfectly as an entry to the wooden roller coaster. The builder here tried to create a nice harmony between the oak and the spruce used there. There's nothing wrong with it, but isn't that special either. Number 102, Entry Hall. From what I remember, this was supposed to be the world spawn and every new member would first walk through the corridor only to be greeted by a bunch of these awful head maps. But this later was found and buried by the pea shooters above it. The blue fire kind of looks welcoming or epic for a new member, I guess. But the room with the cat map art speaks for itself, I guess. Number 101, Center Bridges. And just shy of the top 100 we have the best part of Caves and Mines, Center Bridges. They lead from the entrance to the mineshaft area, but you only can get there if you do some easy parkour. Still, that has left it quite remarkable in my head. There are some skulls and redstone that likely indicates plot, which make this place look a bit haunted. And towards the bottom, there's a black space which likely stands for the void. The chains and lanterns are great to look at as well. Number 100, Chester's Graveyard. And Chester's Graveyard barely has made it on place 100. These essentially are two giant Minecraft chicken statues with some graves in between, honoring the two chickens that unfortunately passed away. In general, there's not too much to it structure-wise. Number 99, Purple Mansion. Well, this person definitely had some bad self-esteem according to the sign regarding the structure. But it's perfectly fine in my opinion by what it tries to achieve. The throne room and the decorations look neat and give the mansion a great atmospheric touch in my opinion. And although there isn't that much on the upper floor, it's worlds away from bad in my opinion. Number 98, Sniffer Enclosure. In this animal cage the floor's quite messy, but this both fits the Smithers as well as the cherry trees in that cage. The inclusion of bees is a great idea as well, and therefore this enclosure feels alive and lush. The Sniffers there live a great life for sure. Number 97, Food Truck. The food truck is a nice area to stop by and buy some food. The truck looks interesting from every side and it really invites you to buy something there. The interior is rather realistic and rather fitting. I like this vehicle and what it offers to that area. Number 96, Bakery. This is my first major build on the list and it's quite old at that point. The exterior from most angles is fine, although for some reason I've extended that bricks there one block too much, making it look a bit weird from the back. I like the pretzels banners. The interior is meh in my opinion, neither the bread shelves nor the tables look too appealing. But what has risen this build a few places upwards is the selling mechanism, where you receive bread if you toss a diamond on the floor. I'm still proud of that. But with everything else, I think that's about how high it will get. Number 95. Aquarium. The aquarium stores all sorts of aquatic animals in cages with a glass window. At the bottom there's sand and all sorts of plants. In my opinion, from the inside the Prismarine is an excellent choice for the aquarium, and the extensions on the roof look very nice as well if you ask me. I just can't give it a higher place by what it is, sadly. Number 94. Oil Mine. This is the final build of Levi's industrial facility, and I quite like that one, especially the trapdoors on top of the drill give it more structure. The pillars look very strong and quite realistic if you ask me. During the prank war, Levi used this one and replaced my house with it because oil was still covered underneath my house and therefore the US claimed it. I have fond memories because of that and therefore it gets the place it deserves. Number 93. Burning Hand Statue. I quite like this one despite it only containing 4 blocks. The pose is quite strong in my opinion. For some reason I like the use of clean stone here as well. The lanterns give it a unique touch. It's unique in my opinion, it achieves that much with that little. Number 92. LM's Cave. This is such a mixed bag for me. There are a lot of boring or weird parts, for example the mushroom enclosure or the quartz column chamber connected with a very boring stone hallway. And then there's a mineshaft which leads to the void and therefore I think the part yet has to be finished. What makes this structure receive a great glow up is the lush cave with an underground lake. While the wall might look a bit plain sometimes, there's something to look at almost everywhere. Dripstones, ores, spore blossoms, mangrove trees, mushrooms and more. It just feels incredibly alive with all the rocks jumping around, but because of the other worst parts of that area, I can't rank it higher. Number 91. Horse Enclosure. For some reason the builder decided that it's best to use a mangrove swamp for the horses, but given that most of the enclosure therefore is flooded, it's remarkable for sure. The mangrove trees look great and the hay bales are a great addition as well in my opinion. Number 90. Kawa's Shack. This shack has been built by Kawa without any tutorial as a joke to show how bad he is in building without them, but for what it's supposed to be, it's great. It has some random stuff around it, for example command blocks that kill ender dragons and withers instantly. Inside of it there's a bed and an item frame. The only thing that slightly bothers me about it is that the cobblestone of the chimney can be reused from the inside, but that's just a nitpick. Number 89. Ferris Wheel. Yet another structure that suffers from containing many full blocks. I somewhat like the support beams and think they would work realistically, but the structure looks very fragile if the blocks only touch each other at the edges. I'm not a big fan of the cabins here either. With another block choice there would have been way more possibilities in my opinion. Number 88. Chicken. This is another remnant of the prank war. I've wanted to scare Levi with this chicken because I've put a machine inside that looks very similar to one would produce thousands of chickens, but instead of a dispenser to throw the eggs, I used a dropper. Eventually I built a cylinder for it because why not? Essentially it's just a statue of a Minecraft chicken, nothing too special, so I can't rank it any higher. Number 87. Fair games. When I look at the structure, I imagine the games there to be fun. You likely should throw the orange sand blocks into the baskets and you can get a moped as a prize. This perfectly fits the zoo in my opinion as some distraction and for the zoo to make some more quick money. It adds more life to the zoo and makes it feel like it's a distinct feature, which is great for world building. Number 86. Love Pond. Here some pillars with colored balloons surrounding a fountain containing a net portal are placed. The pillars only contain 4 blocks, but that isn't much of an issue here. The end rocks are a nice touch as well. The fountain is way more detailed with a lot of slabs. Out of every pillar shoots a beacon beam in the respective color. The structure looks neat from every angle as long as the banners are visible. Number 83. Hotel Biplane. This biplane resembles a terror attack as it's right on its way to fly into the hotel. I like the shape of the biplane. The wings look a bit too short to hold it up in the air realistically in my opinion. I don't approve that much of the block choice either because of the darker block corners that give it a contrast I'd describe as unfitting here. Number 84. Bowser. In my opinion, this is the weakest one of the 3D characters I came up with on my own. From the side, he exactly looks like the SMB3 Bowser, and therefore the entire build can't be too far off. But I just think that he should be way wider. He looks so thin and weak, kind of a bad fake article where someone tried to replicate Bowser but failed in doing so. He isn't all too bad and still looks somewhat impressive, but I'm not that content about this one in general. And he fitted that number quite nicely on top of that. Number 83. Andrew's house. This is essentially just your standard villager house with basic interior. For a small house, this is about as good as you can get. The exterior is well decorated from all angles, and I like the mossy cobblestones thrown in there. A solid house for everyone's favorite farmer. Number 82. Reg's house. This house is special. It's made out of endstone, nether planks, and on top of it it's a crown-shaped part. And while it looks alright from the front, I don't think it does from any other angle. And there being walls on the one side, but not on the other, bothers me as well. And at least the house has something that you can call an interior. It's not much, but it works, I guess. And it's unique and outstanding for sure. Number 81. Iggy. SMB3 Iggy already looks rather weird by modern standards, so I'm quite content with what I was able to do here with the given templates. But him looking weird as a sprite definitely makes him look special in 3D as well. I don't know what I could have done better, but it just doesn't hold up to the other Koopalings. Number 80. Fox enclosure. And the second best animal cage in the zoo is the fox enclosure. It benefits greatly from the podzol mushrooms and berry bushes used there, which make it look both cozy and inviting. The snow dropping from the spruce trees gives an amazing atmospheric touch on top of that. It just feels perfect for the foxes and it's remarkable for sure. Number 79. Bartender's home. This bar looks and feels amazing. The campfire roof is an interesting touch and gets cranked up by foliage. The shroom lights here look very inviting as well, and the little details give Bartender a personality. I guess him being an actual villager that wanders around makes it better than the food truck armor stand. And the changed color in the cauldron is a nice touch as well. Number 78. La Discothèque du Now. This is a disco house in Parc du Nao because she apparently likes to visit places like that. It's basically your standard house with windows and a roof from the outside, although the basalt is definitely an interesting block choice. You can get some bottles there for free and go into the dance room. There is a DJ stand and a disco ball at the top. I think it's a cool place for the hip youngsters to hang out, but overall it's nothing too special. Number 77. Santa Fountain. This fountain flows downwards in 4 streams, breaking the water up, looking awesome in my opinion, and the lanterns add a nice touch to the structure as well. The flowing water in the middle bothers me a bit. The fountain is surrounded by foliage, creating a clear boundary to the outside, and it fits the place perfectly. Number 76. McDonald's. This is a mixed bag and contains some nice and some bad looking areas. The restaurant area looks decent but isn't that special. The outside suffers from the only full block issue, but at that scale it somewhat works. From the back, the structure looks very bad. But then there is the inside with water streams and vibrant colors once again. It quite resembles the issues I've had with the playground. The sand hole and ball pit aren't really special either. Number 75. LM's house. It's a neat and inviting home with a pool and lush flowers on the outside. The interior, while maybe sometimes being a bit blunt, works. I especially like the use of ochre frog lights on the ceiling. I really wonder what the ladders being on both walls is about. With them you can either climb on a nice balcony or to a chest storage, partially filled with items. Number 74. Underground bunker. If you somehow manage to make your way through the labyrinth, you end up in the underground bunker, which is quite interesting to explore. While some rooms just look astonishing, some others aren't that great. My favorite room definitely is the campfire room. It looks so cozy and relaxing, but some other rooms try and succeed as well in my opinion. As a bonus, if you dig up the McDonald's sandpit with the shovel and the item frame above, you actually land in here, which is a creative location to pick. Number 73. La Cinéma du Now. The colors of France decorate the building, because else it have looked too plain for my taste, and I really tried to make the best present possible for now to apologize back then, when I completely missed the point of our dispute. Anyways, after the entrance where you can get cake and cookies, you can sit in the cinema and look at the screen. I've put black maps on the wall so you can see anything but black surrounding the screen from any angle. My plan originally was to let the picture move as well, like a roll with redstone, but because of limited space I rejected that idea at the end. Number 72. Sky Island. Definitely one of the most remarkable structures on that list. There's a peak downwards and a smaller one on each side as well. There are moderately nicely textures. The upper part is basically just a smaller diagonal square underneath a dirt square. On top it's just flat and likely not the greatest effort went into this structure. It looks quite great from a distance and fulfills its purpose, but it can't hold on to some of the other things in my opinion. Number 71. Farmland. Here, Andrew grows crops of all sorts and uses this area to work. There are 4 circles with crops and water in the middle, surrounded by wood for most part, and in the middle there's Andrew's workstation, the composer. I really like that it screams farmer from far away, and is very recognizable. It fits Andrew very well and establishes his personality even further. I'd claim that this structure would even work in standard Minecraft. Number 70, Zoo Fountain. This is the best fountain of Bruhville in my opinion. The dark oak saplings make it remarkable. I like the chiseled stone bricks used there, and of course the end rods give it the fountain a nice unique touch. And there's no water flowing problem at all this time. Number 69, Love Hole. This building looks best from far away in my opinion, but essentially it's just a roofed cuboid with holes and no real depth or structure from the outside. Most of the front and back windows contain glass, while the sides ones don't. But the pillars from Love Pond are included here again, and this time they act as a support structure, so that's neat. The pond itself is there as well at the end of the hole. The hole doesn't have a lot to offer, but it's kind of the thing with most holes, to be honest. Number 68, Prison. This prison can be opened and closed with redstone. Outside of one room where probably the warden lives and the beds in some prison cell, there isn't really an interior. The exterior looks decent from most angles and there's much depth in its structure, although I have a big issue with that one chain being on one side but not on the other, and that you can wander to the redstone lines through the gap in the wall as a prisoner if you aren't locked up in the tiny cells definitely isn't ideal either. Number 67, Sky Mansion. The Sky Mansion, placed on a stone base plate, looks fine from all angles but isn't that remarkable. It's fully made out of different types of dark oak materials. The interior is simple but works as a base. It provides you with several workstations. The staircase to the upper floor is neat, but the upper floor just has a bed and more workstations. The best thing about the structure is probably the front, which looks inviting with the flowers, lantern and the bloodshed parrot. Number 66, Blue's house. Like it was the case with Now, Blue has deleted her house as well for some reason, but never built anything at its place, so I've rebuilt it as a placeholder eventually. But I don't get at all why Blue was that unhappy with it. The house is shaped like a cuboid, this could easily be fixed, but somehow due to the cherry stem pillars, it doesn't even look that bad in my opinion. Perhaps the windows look a bit weird from the side, you can argue about that, but it's absolutely not delete worthy in my opinion. The interior is where this house is best at, it looks so inviting and cozy. The painting works perfectly at the spot with the cherry stem behind it. The banners and the pets are cute, so from me, it gets the spot it deserves. Number 65, Village Farm Hut. Despite the ground not having any elevation, the little house here works perfectly in that area. And for how small it is, there's so much going on. Every angle is interesting to look at. The structure and every single block just matches perfectly. Additionally, I find it funny how Toast got stuck in the corner and therefore Timmy has no chance of murdering him. Number 64, Larry. Larry is a fine 3D structure in my opinion, but I think that the head shape is a bit wide. If you look at him from above, the head gets very thin behind the eyes. Another thing is the way the SMB freeze sprite looks. I had no chance to include the two of Larry's fangs and therefore had to give him a smile where he shows all of his teeth. It's still alright and it's nitpicking for the most part, but I can't rank it any higher. Number 63, Courthouse. It fulfills its job, maybe it looks a bit bland on the outside, but I like the corner structures out of stone bricks that look interesting. On the inside, I don't like the symmetrical location of some of the roof lanterns. The interior is a bit simple and the floor is bland, but you can tell where everything is and you surely can hold court cases in here. Number 62. Shiz's Free House. When this thing was built, I absolutely despised it, and after everyone else agreed to letting it stay, I did my best to at least fix the greatest issues I've had with it, for example adding more trees to support the house in a somewhat realistic manner. I still don't like the staircase too much, especially the glass blocks bother me there from the inside. Outside of a jukebox and an ender chest, the house completely lacks interior. For some reason, it has an extension where the water flows downwards in a snake-like manner. Number 61. Small Hotel. There are quite a few weird things to point out there. First, there's no staircase leading upwards, so you can't even reach the upper levels. There is a space on each floor where maybe an elevator has been planned at. And secondly, there are some weird inconsistencies on the different floors, like these stair blocks missing on the first floor for whatever reason, though in general, the outside looks neat from all angles if you don't look too closely. The building completely lacks interior, but there's the George's llama on one of the floors for whatever reason. Number 60. Pea Shooter. The pea shooter are supposed to cover up the entrance hall and are directed against Levi's house. This more is like a personal taste, but I think that they just work and look nice here. Number 59. Village Dumb Foxes area. The biggest feature of the structure is this big hill. It opens the cave and makes sure that the foxes have a cozy place to stay at. I think the vines, trees and bushes fit nicely into the environment. What I appreciate about this one is that it doesn't spam the grass anywhere, and every plant seems like it was carefully placed by hand, rather than just being bone mealed. Number 58. XXL Pond. This is a structure made by Now. It more or less accurately resembles a Minecraft XXL. It spits water out of its mouth, which flows into a little pond surrounded by cherry fence, surrounded by French flags. There are some XXL swimming inside. I think that this is a great addition to that area to make it feel more alive. The only thing I don't fully get is the rooted dirt underneath some of the fence posts. The amethysts are a nice touch as well. Number 57. Family Guy House. This build resembles the house from Family Guy. For most part it lacks interior, although at one point I was that bored that I built the interior for like 3 rooms. I'm feeling like I'm getting a déjà vu, because now I'm making this video. Anyway, the appearance boosts that structure up to that place. Number 56. Junkfoot Street Stone Brick House. It looks alright from the outside, perhaps a bit messy. The interior is simple and there isn't too much going on. There are carpets or basic tables. It looks okay, but it isn't anything special and really doesn't have any special features to talk about. It doesn't do anything wrong though. Number 55. Village Little War. Yet another solid structure that hasn't too much pushing it forward. It contains a lot of seats and scaffolding tables with carpets on top. At the bar itself there are some workstations, providing it with a unique vibe. It feels very cool and I'd like to eat here for sure. Unfortunately, not all angles are great to view these structures from, and therefore it won't rank any higher. Number 54. Wooden Roller Coaster. This is by far the superior roller coaster, in my opinion. It takes a lot of turns, it looks quite well, and the forest is a neat feature as well. In real life, I'd have a ton of fun on this roller coaster with the sometimes quite steep falls, and I like what it gives to the area. Number 53. Snail. It makes me a bit sad that I can't rank it higher, but I can't rank everything built by me high. And the snail, while being diagonal, has some issues. There's no whirl on the house, some blocks look off from some perspectives, and that up high, unfortunately that's already enough to not get any further up if you are in the building. Number 52. Village Mushroom House. It's inviting and little. I like the block palette, and the chimney being outside is a great feature for sure. It looks great from any angle. Frankly, it doesn't have a big space inside, but the interior is great for what's here. You have got everything essential for someone to call this place a home. And although I'm not the biggest fan of the two empty spaces next to the crafting table, that is likely a personal thing. Number 51. Horse stables. This is a great and iconic structure because of specimen like Bab, the sheep. The campfire place is a nice addition and it provides a happy feeling if you see it. And the hay is all over the place in nice patches, giving the horses more than enough to eat. It looks great from almost all angles but the back. I think that the roof structures and pillars work perfectly, and each corner is details and fun to look at. It's full of life and does its job astonishingly. Number 50. Hotel. Now we've reached the top 50, and the hotel barely makes it on the list. From far away the hotel looks great, but up close the issues become apparent. It completely lacks interior, and the elevator, although being there, makes it quite hard to just exit on any floor because the water boosts you up that fast and you must count. The exterior on the other hand looks amazing. The flowers contrast that nicely with the pozzo they were placed at, and the fountain and pool look neat as well. And there actually are custom palm trees here. If it had an interior and maybe a better elevator, it would have ranked way higher. Number 49. Kai Gigny's house. This is my main house and one of the very first structures I've ever built on the realm. That's where everything has started. But of course it shows. Although I tried to make it look as visually appealing as possible from the sides with the walls, which arguably looks too messy, the roof only has 4 blocks apart from the chimney. The garden is home to my beloved pets, and I still quite like the lake for example, although in the garden the bone meal spam there is obvious. It contains several rooms like a smithing room, a kitchen and a dining area, some bedrooms, a chimney, 2 bathrooms. Each barrel is carefully filled with distinct items, as if I actually had this as a survival base. In general, it's a great starting point, but there are so many better things. Number 48. Stratos Tower. From the outside this tower looks good, especially the glass shade from yellow to red is a great addition. The nether brick structure at the edge looks amazing as well. My main issue is the inside. There is just barrel spam as well as some composters. Right at the top is a bedroom, which at least looks decent. Number 47. Roy. The issue I have with Roy are the sharp corners he has every now and then. Therefore he doesn't look as smooth as I'd have wished. I think his shell isn't as wide as it should be either, at the wide part. Number 46. Morton. He essentially has the same issues as Roy, as it's just a clone of his character build, where the only thing changed was his face and the colors, given the SMB3 sprites are quite similar as well. I just like the Morton design I came up with slightly more than the Roy one, but the issues are almost identical. Number 45. Taco Bell. I was surprised how high this objectively is. If I was biased, this would have been way lower. This place sells that chicken after all. But it looks visually appealing from all angles, has nice banners, and the interior is well made as well in my opinion. The lush greenery sells the place as well and gives off a good vibe. The interior isn't bad either. The food selection tags look great. I like that the kitchen has another floor pattern and there's carpet used as well to break the floor up. So despite me not wanting to approve it, solid build. Number 44. Snake. The snake can be found on top of Levi's house, and like the snail, it was part of the prank war. Levi liked the animals that much that he kept them, and I can't blame him, though the snake body sometimes look a bit too thin and the block placement sometimes messy in my opinion. I still like the alternate green blocks every now and then. As it's the case for the snail, it's hard to compete over the top spots if you are in the building. Number 43. Duck Brothers. These fellas look so quirky and it's creative to make houses out of them. And they actually have a well-made interior in them despite there only being little space. I rank them as one structure because of the tunnel that links the two docks together. I have so many questions, and them both being that iconic and actually having a purpose makes them earn them this place. Number 42. Kai Gigny's Library. From the outside it looks alright in my opinion. The more roundish shape definitely is unique, and I really wanted to avoid it being a cubit when I built it. I like the floor pattern on the interior, but everything's blending in almost too much given that everything has a brownish tone. The astonishing number of bookshelves looks a bit repetitive as well given that chiseled bookshelves weren't a thing yet. But the spore blossoms provide a calm and chill atmosphere, and there is not going on too much, fitting for a calm library. I like the inside balcony area as well as the chandelier. Number 41. Junkfoot Street's Bruce house. This house looks decent from most angles, and the stone bricks frame give it a lot of depth and makes it appear more solid. And the staircase to the upper floor looks great as well. But for the house itself, there's not really much to it. There's an axolotl aquarium and one chest. That's everything this house contains. Apart from Garfield the glow squid, of course. Number 40. Levi's Monster. While a lot of effort was put into this for sure, and it's quite iconic, I feel nothing when I see it. It doesn't look scary or funny, it sometimes gives me the impression that it's sad. The bone blocks' eyes aren't expressive at all in my opinion. The tentacles are neat and the mouth and the teeth look alright with the selected blocks, and the drip leaves and spore blossoms provided with some variety. And sometimes the block placement could be a bit cleaner. It's still good, but it has at least some things going for it. Number 39. Aquatic Enclosure. This is the best animal cage in the zoo by far in my opinion. It has everything a beach area could ask for. A custom palm tree, mats, an umbrella, sugarcane, a variety of blocks for the floor, and a lot of plants or coral in water. And underneath the rest crotches actually is a chest with that hilarious "Congratulations, you won nothing" paper. It looks so great it makes you feel like you are in a small paradise. Number 38. Frog. This basically is a model of the Minecraft frog and is, who would have guessed, from the prank war. This frog has a lot of history. Initially it was purple for whatever reason, then the blocks got replaced and it turned orange and now it's white. and for some reason Kawa's given him a wand and a magician outfit on top of it, which catapults this cool guy to the place that he deserves. Number 37. The Boys Base. This resort, owned by the axolotls Tim and Crest, is about as cool as an enclosure can get. There's a lot of love in this place, and there are many details in the form of flowers and even a little custom tree. The banner is very iconic and marks the entrance to a mini slush cave. What I really like is that the details are subtle and definitely were put there carefully. And this makes the Boys Base the best animal enclosure on the realm. Number 36. Village Bar. From the outside, this structure looks alright, but not outstanding. One side even looks horrible, so that means the interior is outstandingly good, and I like the atmosphere so much. It's slightly moody, but inviting, maybe even a bit expressional or romantical. That's the vibe I adore in my favorite restaurants in real life. The use of animals for tables is creative. The bar area just looks amazing. There are clever details like doors as a shade, and everything in here just feels so realistic, and you can have an amazing time in here for sure. It's such a shame it doesn't look that good from the outside. Number 35. Kawa Turtle. I love this little fella, he looks so cute. It's part of the prank war, and for some reason I've built Kawa as a crawling turtle eating a carrot. Inside of it is a notebook composition of mine, which was part of the prank as well. But sadly, it can't compete with the things that are yet to come. Number 34. Parc du Nau. I like this park, and I definitely tried my best to include everything Nau likes here back when I've built it. There's a cute little pond with axolotls. The jazz band makes the park feel alive, and I like the miniature animals as well. The statue looks great from the front, a bit less great from the other angles, and then there's the croissant-shaped entrance with a big French flag. Looking back, this whole thing is just hilarious. Number 33. Sports Hall. From the outside it looks alright, but doesn't resemble a sports hall at all in my opinion. After I rebuilt my deleted military base from scratch at some other location where it didn't bother the other members, I built that as a replacement and didn't know what to put there for the most time. Eventually, due to its location, I settled on a sports hall, and the interior cabins are basic but work. The highlight definitely is the main hall with basketball hoops, soccer marks and a side equipment room. Number 32. Wendy. The only nitpick I maybe have with her is the nose. Wendy's SMB Freeze Sprite doesn't have any nostrils, which could be the case of this problem. I struggled so much to get her bow into 3D, but I think I nailed it. The shell maybe looks a bit flat, but that works better for that model than it does for Roy or Morton in my opinion. So overall, I'm very content with how she turned out. Number 31. Yellow Family Home. Even though you could argue that it looks like a bland structure on the outside despite the birch trapdoors and bushes, I still think the house has a shape that is quite interesting. For the outside there's a garden with crops and an apple trees. The interior is neat as well. It has several bedrooms, a lot of workspaces and a dining table. A family would be content with this house for sure. Number 30. Bee. The bee, while probably being one of my cutest and most amazing diagonal builds, simply can't hold up any longer. It's a giant insect with white wings. It's not entirely symmetrical and one leg is turned the wrong way. Still, it's barely noticeable if you don't know, and although it's possible to make it better, I'm very proud of it. Number 29. Edward Shack. Compared to the recent builds, this shack looks almost pathetic, although it looks nice from any angle and plays into the idea that Edward built it on its own. The interior is great for what it is, but nothing special. The highlight of this area of course is the custom forest out of a bunch of custom trees, huge and little. There are so many of them that it looks like a unique biome, and I really like the block palette and how the trees get grayer the higher the branches are. Every now and then there even are brown mushrooms and every fern is placed carefully here. Number 28. Feraligator. This giant model of a feraligator was built by Urk with the help of a tutorial. And while it looks cool in general, I think there sometimes are a bit more sharp edges than would have been required. So it's definitely possible to make a better feraligator statue. Overall, the build still looks great and therefore earns it this spot here. Number 27. Portal Sword. This basically is just your average server portal, which is over exaggeratedly decorated, but it still looks amazing. There's a lot of details which make the sword visually appealing. It uses glass, has a lot of depth, and that's a lot of decorations. My only issue is the bottom. On one side there are these cool nether blocks, but on the other side they are completely missing. Despite that, it's such an amazing structure. Number 26. Church. Church has been built by Siraj and I like the chosen blocks, whether they may be a bit basic. The foundation is quite complex and makes the structure looks way more interesting. The colored windows are a nice touch as well, but at the top there are glass panes for some reason. I can look over that. The interior fulfills its purpose. There's an altar and an area with a lot of barrels, maybe standing for benches that you can sit on. The staircase definitely is a remarkable feature as well. Overall, it's a solid structure and it's important to Bruhville. Number 25. Lemmy. Lemmy essentially just turned out like I imagined him to be. Overall, he's small and thin, therefore the flat shell isn't any issue for him at all. I really don't see anything wrong with him at all. I just think that the remaining structures are better. Number 24. Ike's house. Ike's house looks slightly bland from some angles, but the garden around it as well as the roof structures Kawa has built, because he had the same feeling, compensates for that. The dock area with the umbrellas looks neat, and the pond area gives up a great positive feeling. Whenever I visit Ike's house, I feel like a dwarf. Everything's very spread out, and apart from the staircase, there's almost nothing in the middle section. But close to the walls, there's a lot of more furniture, which looks great neat, but isn't that special. I like the TV area, and the place is inviting to just relax there and watch some good movies. The bedroom contains 2 giant beds out of wool blocks as well as a giant bathroom. Especially here, the house suffers from the full block only issue that holds it down quite a bit. Number 23. Kai Gigni's statue. This statue didn't occur out of a giant ego trip. Initially, I was so mad about the armadillo winning the mob vote, so I built myself shooting the armadillo with a gun. But Kawa didn't approve of it and changed some things a little bit, so now we have this end result. I like my skin and therefore I like the statue as well. At some parts the bamboo trapdoors don't have gold blocks behind, which can look a bit weird at times, and technically that arm doesn't match my skin if I hold it like that, and I don't like the netherrack bit on the puppy too much. But the subtle wool texture is definitely a nice feature. Number 22. Mono's castle. I have to get these castles out of the way, Because they are based off a tutorial, they often look very impressive, but usually these tutorials lack interior, which prevents them from getting any higher. This castle looks good from the outside, especially in shape, but lacks interior. Additionally, I like that some blocks were misplaced. Sometimes you can see a slight inconsistency here and there. The block palettes used here doesn't have that much of a variety either. Number 21. Cherry Street Small Oak House. This structure looks amazing. The roof is shaped in a unique way and the wooden beams add such a nice touch to it. The stone is well textured. Even though I don't personally like the acacia trapdoors too much, I guess that's just on me. The interior is the problem. While not entirely missing, you can find a bed in a few workplaces. It really isn't much. And the campfire area with the bonfire media cube probably is one of the weakest parts of the structure. Number 20. Blackstone Spruce Castle. This has been a foundation for the most time. Only recently I've taken on the project and finished it. It has quite a bunch of rooms or areas and a bunch of towers, but from the backside it looks bland, and I don't know what this pillar is supposed to be either. From the 3D model it wasn't clear with a lot of blocks what they actually were. The original tutorial got deleted, so that could be my fault. There simply was no identification at all which block was required there. Number 19. Ludwig. In my opinion, he not only is the best looking Koopaling in general, but the statue of him is the best one on the realm as well. He exactly looks like Ludwig and he doesn't have any issues I've had with the other Koopalings. The shell is wide enough, the hair and the expression are spot on in my opinion. There's no competition if you ask me. Number 18. Ike's Castle. This castle looks amazing from the outside. I like the foliage, the towers have a unique shape, but once again it's empty, there's no interior at all. This time there isn't any way to get to these rooms, and I'm a bit conflicted whether this is a good or a bad thing. Of course this kind of defeats the purpose of a castle as a living space in the first place, if you have no way of getting in. On the other side it raises the question of whether I can rank it lower for lacking an interior if it wasn't meant to have any due to there not being an entrance. Number 17. Armadillo. The armadillo statue doesn't have the problems the Kaigigni statue had. Even though it doesn't look similar to a Minecraft armadillo, this was built before knowing how they'll eventually look. I've searched up an estimated 3D model predicting how it could look like and put it on a Minecraft grass block. And it has gotten really iconic over the time. It looks so cheerful and always puts a smile on my face whenever I see it. Number 16. Kawa's Castle. The last one out of the tutorial castles. The outside is neat, even if it suffers a bit from a lacking block variety. The biggest reason for it being that high is the entrance hall, where I've built a table once in the prank war, and a music stand as well. Kawa has put some banners inside, and this room is iconic. Sadly, other parts of the castle don't have an interior, but the fact that this room exists means that it's the best out of one of the castles. Number 15. Kai's Treehouse. The main purpose of that build was to show Monkey the real way of following a tutorial. Somehow I've been able to find the tutorial he was using based off his awful trunk that he built while trying to follow it, and the tutorial, while not being that good as a video, created a good outcome that looks solid as a structure. The tutorial contained a nice interior which I've built as well. And now, Gudrun, one of my chickens, owns the place. Number 14. Military base. Although it may not look that visually appealing from the outside, that's not the point for a German military base from the early 1900s in the first place. But even regarding looks, I cranked the stone bricks floor up with cracked stone bricks every now and then. This base contains armor stands that stand for the soldiers, which makes the base look more alive in my opinion. This base contains everything you could ask for: ammunition storage, a crossbow shooting stand, garages for tanks and biplanes, there are chambers for the recruits to sleep in, a tank testing area, and of course the long runway for the biplanes. This place perfectly succeeds in everything it wants to be and has left a remarkable impression on the realm for sure. Number 13. Endo's Warehouse. According to Urk, this is the oldest structure on the realm that still exists today, apart from the pixel art wall, but this doesn't count as a structure, and it surely started with a bang. This house looks great from all angles thanks to the greenery, and the trapdoors and campfires provide the house with a great looking depth. The signs behind the windows are unique and establish further visual appeal. The interior looks a bit like a crime scene. There are random heads and redstone, likely indicating blood. There are interior plants and banners. On the upper floor, the interior is nicely decorated, but the crime scene continues. I like the lectern with the book, "Only God can have us now" text. This house established some lore, and it's very remarkable for it, and therefore it deserves such a high ranking. Number 12. XXL Grandfather. This is a 3D statue of an XXL now has made. It's from a tutorial, but it's a very nice touch to the area, and one of the only statues that doesn't just contain full blocks, which definitely is important at this scale. And I couldn't help myself but to put a cylinder on top of it because of the design. Now's great grandfather was great, now one says put in front of it. Number 11. Maciek. In case you wonder, Kawa gave it that name. When Shiz built his treehouse, I wasn't caught at all and cloned it onto the ground, but when it was clear that the treehouse was staying and I removed my clones, the area felt empty, so this house was created. This is another house which looks neat from the outside, where people could live with a kitchen, a dining room and some bedrooms. On the upper floor you can find a ton of hay bales and some chests that I filled with specific items. There is a radio as well in one of the bedrooms. The theme I was following here in general was subtle wall and floor texture changes, and the house succeeds at that. But nothing in this structure is that remarkable, which is why it's just shy of the top 10. Number 10. Levi's house. Levi's house is absolutely enormous, and he actually filled it with interior. The only thing preventing this from being even higher is the lack of a staircase, which used to be there, but he decided to remove it for whatever reason. Levi's house looks very unique from the outside, and the prismarine theme is strong. Levi's house contains half of a zoo with a lot of small lovely enclosures for the different species, everyone having a unique name. For example, Freebird can be found here. Though especially on the upper floor there's not that much going on sometimes. At the top is an amazing garden with a lot of small and one giant cherry blossom tree. The iconic goats also can be found there, if they haven't jumped to their death, that is. Number 9. National Council. Although it may be another glorified cuboid, there's so much depth in the window and in the frames around it, and the colors match perfectly together. The glass dome, of course based on the Reichstag in Berlin, is a remarkable feature as well. The structure features a bunch of chandeliers and a lot of meeting rooms to discuss anything. In order to keep orientation, in each important room there is a map showing where you currently are. There are 3 council halls, the one on the first floor being the biggest, where the members of the realm each take a seat on the Federal Council. Most rooms contain bookshelves and tables with nothing on it, and while this quite accurately resembles a national council, it's not too interesting to look at. The National Council being as clean as in real life makes the interior look unalive and slightly boring. Number 8. Rooster. In my opinion, this proud guy is the best statue on the realm. Unlike in most statues, there are a bunch of stairs and slabs used there. And the color transition just flows perfectly in my opinion, and it includes every suitable block possible in the color range it uses, but it doesn't look messy. The rooster rather looks very expressive and proud. It fits the area nicely being next to the XXL grandfather. I tried to make the rooster as realistic as possible, and in my opinion, I absolutely succeeded. Number 7. Kai Gigny's Castle. From the outside you could argue that the block palette there doesn't flow perfectly together. I was still trying out these things. I still think the flags are a very nice touch though, but there's so much to see there. Some of the rooms like the throne room, bedroom or the chairs in the dining room feel proud and mighty, and still this is a perfectly suitable living space. There's a lot of more normal things that can be found here, and like an attic or a music room that gives the castle a unique and personal touch. The hallway may be a bit blunt and lack anything going for them. The hallway floor pattern isn't my favorite either, to be honest. Still, with everything being here and functioning perfectly, it definitely earned this spot. Number 6. School. The school holds up greatly until this day. From the outside I still like it, although maybe the sandstone gets a bit repetitive after a while. Every room has a unique interior, and if you take time to read all the signs, there's so much information on them regarding each subject. Most classrooms use a similar design with desks, a lamp and a shelf to the side, but a lot of them have extra features that fit the topic. For example, a skeleton in biology class. The hallways look better than the National Council ones in my opinion, with the wood beams holding the roof together. On top there is an aquarium you can reach, a balcony from the first floor, and the administration rooms aren't missing either. This school would work perfectly if it was real. Number 5. Zum Giebel. This is a German restaurant where you can eat almost everything you could ask for. It looks nice from all angles, and at every angle there's something new to look at. The thing that is great about this restaurant is that it's entirely self-sufficient, if you take Andrew's farm hut into account that is. You can find every meal ingredient this restaurant offers somewhere around or inside the building. On the outside there are some farm animals, and of course you can't forget the combine harvester this structure features. The interior contains an eating area and a kitchen on the ground floor, and living space for the owners on the first floor with a chimney and a bunch of bedrooms. But unfortunately the building completely lacks a bathroom, and therefore it wouldn't work as a realistic home, unfortunately. But it has that welcoming and calm atmosphere and is emitting that much warmth, which is more than enough to give it a high placement. Number 4. Erk's house. This is a modern luxurious mansion bursting with life and personality. Even though I don't like buildings like this usually, even I have to admit that this looks great. And there are so many details and things in here. Every corner contains much love and a careful hand. Not one place here is boring. The pets can wander around everywhere, which greatly contributes to the feeling that alive. There are cats and parrots sitting there in almost every corner. The house has many luxurious features such as a bowling alley or a race car. The interior contains various colorful banners and amazing furniture. The details like the shelf being open are lovely, and the house would be amazing to actually live there. It contains everything essential and so much more beyond that, and it's such a cool place to be at. Number 3. Carpentry. And the bronze smell goes to the carpentry. This place is a mess, which is already recognizable from the outside. The roof color is washed off at some parts and bricks have fallen off in some areas, signifying that the owner of this place doesn't care about the exterior at all. It belongs to Finlay Dongus, who seems to make a lot of spelling mistakes, and the mess continues at the inside. There's an acacia log stripped, put into pieces and ready to saw into a certain form. The floor contains a lot of sawdust and just is really messy and gross. Finlay doesn't care how anything looks at all, therefore he put mismatched furniture everywhere, where sometimes looks very weird. On the first floor, he has put all the furniture into a random chaotic array, and it's hard to navigate through all of it. And his living space is a mess as well. There's food all over the table and the guy doesn't even clean his towel and the shower, given the grey-brownish color tone there. Everything being that crazy gives this place so much of a unique personality you can't find anywhere else on the realm. And I love it for it. Number 2. Bruhville Steel Factory. This is my most recent and most ambitious build on the realm, and therefore I may be biased because of that. But thinking about it, it really has a lot going for it. With my goal to make Bruhville appear like a working society, I wanted to boost the second economic sector. The building uses a transitioning reddish color palette that subtly gets darker the higher you go. Then there are also diagonal roofs, typical for factories as well, as in an extension with a half-round roof. The highlight of the exterior definitely are the chimneys though, which emit smoke, and I've used glass and glass paints to indicate that, and I personally think that turned out absolutely amazing. It's the only structure on the realm to use that technique. On the inside, the floor contains many different shades of grey, and I tried to make the process of making steel and later vehicles out of them as realistic as possible. The car bodies are displayed there, there's a blast furnace, the steel gets milled and pressed into form for the pieces the workers can build the vehicles with. Afterwards, the vehicles get sprayed and can exit the factory. I personally think that the armor stands and the moving minecarts make it feel more alive, and it's just so cool to have a place where all the vehicles that can be found everywhere in Bruhville get created. Number 1. Giant wood house. In the server tour, I noticed how beautiful that otherwise quite overlooked place is for the first time. It looks absolutely perfect from the outside, with the complex roof structure and the many details like the wood support beams or the chimney. And when you enter the house, you immediately feel very welcome. It feels like home and every trouble is gone. It creates such a relaxing atmosphere with some plants being there. The furniture is never overused and only subtly used, but no space ever feels boring or empty. It's hard to describe, but it just feels so natural and cozy and makes me content whenever I am there. There are item frames or banners, and every single block placed here was carefully considered. The color palette and the items like candles, potted plants, mushrooms, lanterns or even pictures used here are beautiful. I can't do justice to express how strong the atmosphere here is, but it absolutely earned the gold medal, and I consider it to be the best structure Bruhville has to offer. So, that has been the ultimate Bruhville structure ranking. This has been a ton of work, but it was very fun to work on this video for sure. Some spots on that list surprised me. I like organizing things and putting them into order, and making this video has been a new experience for me. I'd appreciate any form of constructive criticism, either to my ranking or the way I was handling the video, in the comments below. Especially because this was the first time making a video like this. And if you are a member of the realm, I hope I've been able to encourage you to get more active in this absolutely amazing place, and hope you feel inspired by this video to contribute to it further in your own way. But here I'll end the video, say goodbye and wish you a wonderful time.